gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. I want you to obey my commands at all times. Give me a good, clean fight, and good luck to both of you. Shake hands.
George, Toney seems really worked up about this. Can this be counterproductive?
He got psyched out. He was beat in the press conference. He was trying to be a nice guy, and the other guy slammed down on him, made him wake up, and I don't think he's went back to sleep yet. And he should be. This guy let him pull an old psychological trick on him.
Round one, McCallum in the red trunks, Toney in the gold trunks. Toney defending his IBF Middleweight Championship against a man who gave up a middleweight championship, Mike McCallum did, rather than to give in to the WBA on its choice of an opponent for a defense. They wanted him to fight Steve Collins. He wanted to fight Toney instead.
Toney is starting out real smart. He's going low on the veterans. You try to hit them in the chest and around the side early on so they don't get any power later on if they do get carried.
Toney, who landed a lot of power shots in the first fight, George, says that he would like this one to be more of a boxing match. And James is working behind the jab early, and as you pointed out, using the jab to go to the body, the chest and the belly.
You try to suck all the power out of the veterans because they want the fights to go longer.
Toney easily blocking McCallum's jab early. A lead right by Toney. Lead right hands were effective for him in the first fight. McCallum starts to go to the body. By his own admission, the body snatcher didn't go to the body enough in fight number one against Toney.
McCallum should be careful and not to make this young boy mad too soon. He's trying to box. I let him keep boxing.
Quick hands from Toney as he finishes inside with the right hand. And McCallum lands a jab. Toney retaliates in time. Left hook for McCallum. He wants to throw the left hook a lot more tonight than was the case 8 months ago. Toney missing with the right hand. It's a boxing aficionado's delight so far. The two fighters standing, facing each other in the center of the ring, circling and using the jab to try to set up combinations.
And McCallum has allowed Toney to go on and be the counterpuncher, countering with 3 or 4 shots. He should have been in that position.
Round one, a bit of a chess match in which Toney has appeared, not surprisingly, a little quicker and a little stronger than Mike McCallum.
Toney tried to box the boxer in that round. We'll find out how smart that is if he continues. I thought McCallum won the round, Jim.
All right. Nice. Nice. See how you're getting into those right hands? Keep moving. Left, right. Use that jab, feint, stick. And when you get a chance, go with that double hook. To the head and the body. Yeah, to the head.
Be first. When you come out of them clinches with him, don't wait for him. You be first. Okay? But keep control. Don't cut off the jab. Take some of them jabs and hook off of them. But be alert. Be looking for something back. But you be first.
Get that stool. Get ready. Okay. Grab that stool.
Grab? Yeah.
I got it. All right, in that round, Jim, Toney fought in a much more even-paced, consistent pace rather than in the spurts he did in the first fight. But he's spurting right now.
And he gets inside and lands a left hand to the face, which is the most effective blow so far in the bout. And you heard Toney's trainer, Bill Miller, saying, be first. Get in there and start the action. He doesn't want his fighter to get into a counter-punching duel with McCallum, who's a terrific counter-puncher.
Tony is starting to get in on McCallum, that left side of his body early, and it's starting to hurt too.
Tell us how you can tell that, George.
Well, he's protective of it. He hits him once, and the next time he covers up before he hits him another time.
McCallum lands the jab. Left hand behind it is blocked. Toney with a solid left. There's a left hand by McCallum. Both fighters landing in close. McCallum trying to set up the jab by going to the body first. Toney was able to slide his head out of the way. But here's the inconsistency of James Toney within a round. You saw him begin with a busy spurt, stay busy for about 20 seconds. Now he's letting McCallum set the pace.
Let's go.
Both of these guys have to really drain themselves trying to get down to that weight. They went a little lower. So they better not try to get too exhaust themselves too quick in this fight.
Well, both fought at a measured pace in round one, and round two has been hardly any more intense. So far, much more of a tactical battle than was the case last December. And that's because they respect each other, right, George?
Once you have respect, you do have respect.
McCallum landed the left, but was backing up.
Work out, come on. Work out some more. With that shoulder, Mike.
Both fighters trying to go to the body. Both fighters blocking shots to the body. Now Toney gets into the rib cage with the left.
Come on, get him out.
Left hook inside from McCallum as Toney dropped the right hand. If you've just joined us, we're in the second round on HBO's World Championship Boxing. It's the IBF middleweight battle between champion James Toney in the gold trunks and challenger Mike McCallum in the red, a rematch of their fight in December of 1991, which was a spirited draw, rated by some observers as the best fight in the sport in the year 1991. We've had a tactical battle through 2 rounds, both fighters showing flashes, neither fighter taking command. Earlier this evening, a lightweight championship fight here in this arena. The bout to fill the vacant IBF welterweight title, left vacant by the defection of Pernell Whitaker to the 140-pound class. It was Freddie Pendleton, the veteran, against Tracy Spann, and they fought for the IBF lightweight championship in round 1. The left-hander Spann landed that solid left hand to drop Pendleton on his trunks and take a seeming tactical advantage in the bout. But then, 2 minutes into round number 2, you will see their heads collide right there. And that accidental headbutt opened a massive cut over the right eye of Freddie Pendleton because of the depth and the size of the cut. The bout was stopped and called a technical draw. Pendleton will be matched against Spann again 4 or 5 months from now, still for the IBF lightweight championship.
McCallum is giving a clinic right now.
And exactly right. You saw the punch count numbers that gave McCallum the edge in the second round. We'll see if this continues to be a battle of technique. And if it is, it plays into McCallum's favor. Toney landing a left hand and a right hand and another left in close. And Toney once again spurts to begin the third round as he did at the beginning of round 2.
And he should do more because the veteran fighters, they spar all the time, and he's allowing them to have a sparring match in here. Toney should be all over him for the first 5 or 6 rounds to make him want to fight back, get some points.
Well, yesterday in our meetings with the 2 fighters, Harold Letterman couldn't restrain himself from telling Toney what a nightmare he creates for judges by fighting only part of every round. And you're seeing it here.
He's like a tornado, Jim. He comes down out of the sky with fury, then goes back up in the sky, disappears for a while, then comes back down again.
And you'd better be ready.
Non-Terrell trainer Eddie Futch had told McCallum that he wanted him to get in and pressure Toney at the end of those spurts and take advantage of the fact that Toney doesn't want to fight the full 3 minutes of every round. But McCallum seems to want to stay away for the time being.
The biggest mistake McCallum can do right now is start allowing Toney to jab him. If he gets his confidence in that jab, the fight is over.
So how can he prevent Toney from jabbing him?
Stay away from him, further away, because he has the greater reach. Stay the distance.
Well, for the time being, McCallum seems to be listening to you, George, as he does stay out of arm's reach from Toney during that 15 or 20-second stretch.
You find the correct distance and you use it. Never get in between that perfect distance where your jab is king.
Mike is remembering better tonight to go to the body, something he forgot about in their December fight. Now Toney begins another spurt with 45 seconds remaining in the round. Good right hand by McCallum. Set up by the triple left jab. And there he goes again. Jab, jab, jab. Looking for the right hand one more time. Toney backing away.
Think about those jabs. Momentarily, they mess up your vision. You don't know what to do. It's best to step back for a moment.
The two fighters trading jabs. Still a tactical battle through round number 3.
All right. Okay. All right. Be alert. Don't let him steal you. Don't let him steal you with those right hands. Always coming with them all the time. See? When you move in like that, your jab, I'm going to try to get that double and triple hook off.
Harold Letterman, you said how difficult it is to score a Toney fight. How are you scoring this one?
Larry, let me tell you something. There is nothing decisive about this fight. 2-1 Mike McCallum. I gave the first round to James Toney. I thought he was a little bit busier. He was using that left jab. He backed McCallum up a bit. But then in rounds 2 and 3, Mike McCallum came back and he just took over the fight. He seems to be backing up James Toney. And he's a little bit busier. Landed nice counter shots. I thought McCallum grabbed rounds 2 and 3 to take a 29-28 lead.
Toney has to decide somewhere along the way here whether he wants to continue to box the boxer or whether he wants to try to impose his youth and strength on the old guy.
And they warned McCallum in the corner to watch, don't let him steal you with that right hand. And Toney stole him that time.
Well, if the fight were limited to the first 10 seconds of every round, Toney would be the easy winner so far. But the spurts at the beginning of each round have not been followed with consistent action throughout.
Another good right hand by Toney.
There's a good right hand. You're right, George. Temporarily wobbled Mike McCallum, but he stands in there anyway.
And McCallum got instructions from his corner. Don't let him steal you with the right hand.
Those are right hand leads that are scoring for James Toney.
Cocks his left shoulder in a fashion and throws it like a ball player. One of those fast pitchers or something.
Kind of tries to lull you for about a half second with that cocked shoulder.
I guess it does.
That time the right hand missing for Toney, and Mike McCallum had the right hand stuck in James's face.
Come on, work out there, come on. You got gloves close.
Multiple jabs from McCallum again. That's the strategy which has paid off for him in the sections of each round that he has controlled. Body shots for Toney as McCallum comes in. Another right hand by James Toney. And McCallum comes back with a left.
Toney is like an old veteran. He waits for one shot. Seldom you see that in young fighters.
While he's waiting, George, McCallum is hitting.
But while McCallum has the tactical advantage, it is Toney who lands the harder shots.
That's right, and the judges are going to have to pay a lot of attention to that, especially when you got a crowd who can see that.
Get him out, work out, come on.
And at some point or other, we got to distinguish ourselves from the Olympics.
Come on, Mike. Come on, Mike.
You mean they don't have red and blue buttons here? Those guys would tell us that 8 or 9 punches had landed so far in the fight. Our eyes tell us different.
Punch out, your hands are free.
Toney with the right uppercut. McCallum lands a left and a right inside. The two fighters trading solid punches as we come down the stretch in round number 4.
Toney said he wouldn't go for a big knockout shot earlier today, and that seems to be what he's doing.
Working all right. I just don't want you on the rope.
I thought that was Tony's best round.
We're in the fight. All right. I want you this time to go out there, stick, break off with a hook. Stick, right hand, left hook. Those are your combinations. But be first. You got to get away first. Don't wait for him. You be first. And keep the pressure on him.
Stay close, stay close. Keep popping that left hand in space, and keep looking for those combinations when you're getting back against the rope. But don't stand up straight.
And here is Toney firing. He said his fists would be the judges. Here comes the judge.
Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge.
Nicely done, George. Through 4 rounds, it is McCallum who has landed more punches. It is Toney who is landing the harder shots. Tough fight to score.
Toney tries to give you confidence. He'll let you land 3 jabs. He bags farther off as though you've hurt him. He comes back with this shocking right hand to knock your head off.
Because he wants to counter with that right hand over the top.
And McCallum, the right eye is already a little bloodshot, so you can believe something is happening that you can't see in that ring.
Mike, the body snatcher McCallum, still not getting as much as he'd like, I'm sure, to the body of James Toney.
Get him on, Mike.
But scoring with the jab and at times countering effectively off of Toney's action. There were 2 body shots, a left and a right by McCallum. So far in this bout, he's averaging only about 5 attempts at the body per round. He would like to be doing that more, and so would his 81-year-old trainer, Eddie Foote. Mouthpiece replacement now for McCallum as the mouthpiece fell out. Toney comes to the neutral corner. Could it be that Mike is tiring a little faster than his opponent, George?
Could it be? There's some things going on the right side of McCallum's face.
Yeah, you're right. That right eye is bloodshot.
Yeah.
Right hand lands flush for Toney as referee Joe Cortez steps in with another instruction.
Get him out. Come on, let's go work out of that, guys.
2 good body shots from Toney and a left hand that split McCallum's defense. Right hand over the top by McCallum landed. And Mike just misses with the solid right cross that would have done some damage. Uppercuts inside for Toney land. Both fighters scoring.
Toney's, it's all right. He feels good about just hurting him and making him respect him. He doesn't seem to want to go for the finish, so that's good for a young fighter.
Toney seems to be measuring his effort and biding his time in the first 6 rounds. George, would you endorse that strategy?
I think so, because that's the one thing the younger fighters don't have, patience. And they lose a lot of fights because of impatience.
McCallum remembering to go back to the body after Toney misses just slightly with the left hand.
This is between spurts, and McCallum is trying to take advantage of it.
Get him out of there, guys. Come on. Your hands are free. You can push, Mike.
A seemingly even bout as they get to the end of the 5th round. Much to be said for what both fighters are doing.
No punches up.
begin to use that. Those hooks in the corner now. Yeah. Good. That's good. Is it working? It's working. It's working good. A little more pressure. A little more pressure. Keep staying his pace. He's beginning to get up the center of the ring now.
Now let's look at a comparison of the punching action through round 5 of this fight compared to the same battle 8 months ago. And Larry, you can see that both fighters were just a little bit busier in the preceding fight. Although McCallum is close to being on pace tonight for what he did then, landing a little bit higher percentage. Toney not throwing as many punches.
It's customary for Toney to dig himself a hole in the first half of the fight, climb out of it in the second half.
Sometimes when you give it all you got once and all you get is the draw, it bothers with you. You say, well, why should I get once again? You really got to have good motivators in your corners for these rematches.
Landed for Toney, but it was a glancing blow. And a right hand for Toney. And McCallum goes back to the body and then back upstairs with the jab. Right hand shot for Toney.
Start having that vision problem in those eyes. Sometimes you start getting caught with shots ordinarily you would not be caught with.
Like that one over the top.
Yeah, he's having problems on that side.
So the opportunity is there, you say, George, for Toney to land the right hand.
Anytime he wants. I think he's careful, though, because he realizes if he hits this guy with his best, he can still linger on for 2 or 3 rounds.
McCallum now working effectively behind the jab. Toney making little effort to block or slip the jab. He's just eating it when Mike wants to throw it.
Come on.
For the first time, Toney is starting to cut the ring off periodically. This is something he didn't do earlier. Making him go in his direction like herding cattle.
Get him up. Get him on top.
Both fighters flurrying to the body inside. Toney's right hand was blocked. And as you saw, he missed wildly with the uppercut there. McCallum going back to the body. More and more frequently, it seems. Perhaps in the hope of taking James Toney's legs away from him. Toney, who has a history of having difficulty making 160 pounds, down to 158. Is he overtrained? Did he do too much work in the gym? That's what McCallum would like to find out in the latter rounds of a 12-round battle.
McCallum is having a hard time figuring out Toney also. Doesn't know exactly what he's going to do.
But there he lands a series of hard body shots, George. 4 or 5 in a row to end round 6.
Toney is getting a little lazy.
I don't want you to get careless. I want you to keep them hands up. You hear me? Don't give him nothing. Keep them hands up, but keep the left hand going. Keep them hands up. Them shots to the body, you know how to catch them. And when you catch them doing something off of them.
Harold,
but keep them hands up.
Tell us about your scoring nightmare in this fight through the first half.
Larry, I don't have it as such a nightmare. I got it 4-2, 58-56, James Toney. Jim, what I'm judging is who's doing the more damage. And let me tell you something. It's that home run ball that James Toney is throwing, the overhand right, that's doing the most damage. When he comes over the top with that right hand, that's what's doing the damage. That's what's scoring the points, and that's what I'm scoring.
You and I, Harold, are going to agree to disagree on this one because I don't think he's really hurt McCallum with many of those punches. I see it as a scoring nightmare. 2, 2, and 2. 2 rounds even, 2 rounds apiece.
I think it's a scoring nightmare, and I could see judges going for McCallum at this point. He is landing more punches and with a higher rate of accuracy than is Toney. So we have a split opinion at ringside. And you never know what the judges are going to do in a fight like this.
Saw McCallum stretch his legs out in between rounds. And I saw Toney sit still, almost bored. That can make a difference. You can catch a young kid bored. You can do a lot of things to him, so long as he doesn't know you're hurting him.
Well, the question is Toney discouraged and down, or is he well within himself and so confident that he feels as though he can do whatever he wants?
And I think it's the latter. He sits back to admire his work sometimes. And the other guy goes on and land more punches.
That kind of overconfidence wouldn't serve him well against a real professional like McCallum, who is schooled in the art of seizing every opportunity.
I agree.
McCallum is not looking for a knockout in there, George. He just wants to score.
That's what he's doing. He's doing a good job of it. Toney is hanging around with his mother a lot. He's got a lot of mother whip about him. You never know what's on his mind. He hangs around with the old folks, you know. Not that I'm old, you know.
She's not old, George. She's younger than you and me.
Isn't that nice?
Hey, more than half the world is. Toney landing a series of shots there as they came off the ropes. None of them real hard blows. McCallum goes back to the body. Referee Joe Cortez warned him between rounds to keep him up. Mike just missing with a long left hand there, and Toney lands the left hook.
McCallum is saying, if you're not going to do anything, I may as well do something. That's what's happening in this boxing match.
You really have to wonder why the seemingly stronger James Toney doesn't work harder to try to exert pressure on Mike McCallum.
Coming in too light, too quick. 158, he's probably been like that for 8 to 10 days.
Right hand over the top landed for Toney. Another disagreement between Larry Merchant and Harold Letterman as to whether it did any damage.
Get him out, come on.
It's hard to tell how much damage some of those punches are doing because McCallum takes such a good punch. He's never been on the canvas. This is his 12th year as a professional prize fighter.
Now the mouthpiece is out again, and referee Joe Cortez will look for an opportunity to replace it.
Hold time.
And he does. Timeout. He leaves Toney in his corner. Doesn't make him go to a neutral corner. Brings McCallum back to his corner to replace the mouthpiece for the second time in the bout.
Someone needs to scream into Toney's ear. Man, you're in a title match here.
He looks very bored. Now Cortez sends Toney to the neutral corner, and he comes over and smiles at us.
Leave that. All right, come on, time in. Let's go.
As though amused by the ennui of it all. McCallum goes back to work.
Get him out.
Crowd chanting Toney.
And I think it's good because he's lost interest in this bout.
A relatively tidy or small crowd, but very enthusiastic.
And there you see the new Rasta-influenced hairstyle for WBC Super Welterweight champion Terry Norris with his wife Kelly at ringside. Terry looking forward to his battle here September 26 on HBO against Simon Brown. That for Norris's 154-pound world championship.
That was Terry Norris?
That was Terry Norris. You see the hairstyle before and after shot.
Keep your hands in.
All right, seconds out.
And here's a flurry by Toney. Good left hand. Staying in tight. Both fighters within punching distance almost continually through this fight. And that's the sign of good fighters.
Boxing lessons on. Through round 7, McCallum has thrown 490 punches and landed 200, according to punch count numbers. Toney has thrown nearly 100 fewer punches and landed 75 fewer. But yet Harold Letterman has Toney ahead. This is the dilemma for scorers at this bout. Round 8. Champion James Toney in the gold trunks. Challenger Mike McCallum in the red. Toney is 24 years old. McCallum is 35. McCallum has been the busier fighter.
McCallum has been trying all night to make Toney go backwards. He's been not able to do it, but he's trying, and it's starting to happen little bit by little bit.
35 years old, he's been throwing 70 punches around.
Cortez warning McCallum not to hold Toney.
And he's taken a point away from McCallum, which could be very costly in a fight like this.
And it's hard for us to have seen a series of flagrant violations that should have led to a point being taken away. What do you think, George?
I don't see it happening over and over enough to take a point.
I agree with you guys. Let the fighters decide it.
Harold Letterman, get on microphone. Why did Joe Cortez just take a point from Mike McCallum?
Jim, Joe Cortez was wanting Mike McCallum for a long time for low blows. He's been wanting him constantly to keep his punches up. He told him a few rounds before, if he doesn't keep his punches up, he's going to pull a point, and that's what he did. When Mike McCallum threw that punch behind the back, Cortez got mad, but he really pulled the point for low blows.
Let's go, guys. Come on.
Didn't seem significant enough to warrant the deduction of a point. Now McCallum and Toney are giving and taking against the ropes. During Harold's discussion, you saw Toney land 2 or 3 hard shots, including an uppercut that snapped McCallum's head back.
Come on, guys. Give me a clean round.
Surprisingly, Toney is fighting like the older boxer.
Come on, guys. Give me a clean round. Come on.
Yeah, he really is.
Come on. Break up.
Looking for opportunities in small spurts.
Get in that corner. Come on. Get in that corner. Come on.
And now Cortez stops the action again, this time for a glove repair.
That's a very important thing, because that glove can really get in your eye, and as you're swinging a punch and just put one eye out.
Okay, that's good.
Well, referee Joe Cortez, a long-time New Jersey institution who's recently relocated to Las Vegas and is working here in Nevada now, has put his imprint on the fight. Both fighters trying to go to the body inside, and Toney is the busier of the two for the moment. Round 8 has been a good one for James Toney, who has applied more pressure to McCallum than was the case in previous rounds.
He's so effective with these short rights, Toney is. I wonder why he's not using them. Whenever he gets close, he can land it.
There are 1,000 things to wonder about, George, but he shows you that talent every once in a while. And then McCallum lands a punch that stops Toney in his tracks as round 8 comes to a close.
1 point.
Keep that defense tight. Don't give him nothing. You want to keep him catching up. Keep him fighting from behind. Keep him fighting from behind. Keep the left hand up. Keep using the left hand. Hook off of it. When you hook off of it,
Let's take a look at the punches that caused the referee to take a point away. Oh, give me a break. Give me a break. Whether or not he thought McCallum had hit below the belt earlier, what has that got to do with what just happened there?
Uppercut. Get underneath and go with that good hook.
So the little lift for James Toney as referee Joe Cortez deducted a point from McCallum in the 8th round in what promises to be a close, tightly scored bout and a little bit of a nightmare, as we pointed out so frequently, for the judges because of the contrast in style and effort on the part of the two fighters. Toney working harder now again to begin round 9. Lands a left hand. McCallum comes right back.
And I think that was the best punch of the whole fight. Left hook by James Toney.
A strong enough statement that Mike McCallum wanted to retaliate immediately.
Oh, work out of there. Work out of there. Come on, work out of there, clean. Come on.
Body from McCallum.
Let's go. Clean round, guys.
Those are important body shots McCallum is starting to land now.
He He works a little harder in the clinches than does James Toney. Toney has a tendency to relax in there. And McCallum takes advantage by pounding to the ribcage. It all adds up over the 12-round distance.
Wrestling inside. Come on.
I think Toney is making a mistake. He's conceding some of those right hands that McCallum is throwing to his body. He's allowed him to just throw anytime he wants.
Well, and as he usually does, he's conceding whole minutes and sometimes 2 minutes of various rounds. When he wants to press the action, he tends to land more than his opponent. And when he sits back, he gets hit.
Toney is drained. Somehow, I think he didn't get enough liquids in his diet. Signs of dehydration. Doesn't have a whole lot of sweat on his body or anything.
Well, it bothered him dramatically in the fight with Dave Tiberi a year ago, the fight that ultimately led to a Senate investigation of boxing. When Tiberi's home state senator from Delaware, Senator Roth, decided to convene a subcommittee after Toney was given a split decision over Tiberi in a bout in which Toney was badly bothered by dehydration and couldn't mount the full effort.
Toney was able to land a good body punch during the time we were talking.
We're at the Reno-Sparks Convention Center, HBO's World Championship Boxing, bringing you the IBF Middleweight Championship fight between champion James Toney in the gold trunks, challenger Mike McCallum in the red. 9 rounds complete.
You got to get your feet set to punch, Mike.
Harold?
You got to get your feet set to punch.
3/4 of the fight. How do you see it now?
Larry, I got it 6 rounds to 3. 87-83, James Toney, giving him an extra point for the point that Joe Cortez took away. Jim, I think that he's just doing a little bit too much damage. I think he's landing the better shots. The 9th round was a classic James Toney round. He dogged it for 2.5 minutes and landed effective shots for 30 seconds. But still in all, I think he did enough in the 9th round to win it. I got him 6-3. I think Tony's winning the fight.
I have it 4 rounds to 3 with 2 even. But remember that Toney also has an extra point from that referee's decision. There's a good left hand, perhaps the best shot of the night.
Well, the 2 men have now fought 21 rounds of boxing against each other. In round 9, James Toney threw only 50 punches. That's the lowest punch output for either fighter in a round in either fight. And still, with the relatively short effort, Harold Letterman saw enough to give him the round. So you see why James Toney creates questions for fans, scorers, and opponents.
I can tell you this, McCallum, cornerman, is taking a long time to get into that ring. And by the time he actually gets set, it's almost time for the rest time to be over. I think they should have made some concessions so he wouldn't have to climb up so high. Maybe turn the stool a little in his direction where he can stay on the outside.
You're talking about Eddie Fuck.
Yeah, and he's a great trainer, but it's taking a little too much time. And I think the athletic commission should have allowed for that.
In a sport of tiny margins, there's a potential small edge for Toney.
Yeah. I would advise turning that stool just a little bit to the manager and having the commissioner right there to see that nothing fancy is going on.
George, in the other corner, it is round 10. Wouldn't you by now be telling James Toney to turn up the heat and throw more punches?
Toney is doing a good job. He's just not doing it as good as he ought to when you're in the title match. I would tell him to get enthusiastic, start throwing a lot of punches. You all right. You don't want to give a title away.
Remember that in the last fight, December of last year, Toney went into the 12th round needing to win the round on all 3 scorecards just to merit a draw, as it turned out. He got the job done. Now McCallum has Toney backed into a corner and is landing shots. Toney boxes forces his way out of the corner by going to McCallum's body.
And I think it's a lack of confidence in his stamina. That's what it is. He's just not going to push himself too much.
Give me a clean round, guys.
Right hand landed for Toney. McCallum tries to come back with the left. McCallum blocking shots to the body from Toney and going to the body himself.
And I think picking up valuable points.
Oh, we got it. Let's go. Hold the head down. Let's go.
It's hard to make a living on body punching because sometimes you don't get scored fairly. But Mike McCallum has been getting by with it for 12 years now. The body snatcher, a nickname given to him by one-time friend and sparring partner Thomas Hearns. And another Joe Cortez stoppage.
I think it has a lot to do with his right eye. Some nerve problems over there will not allow you to bite down when you want to.
That was mouthpiece incident number 3. Mouthpiece replacement number 3 for Joe Cortez.
Come on, guys. Give me a clean round, guys. Come on. Work out. Come on. Hey, watch the head, guys. Hard time.
Another brief boxing clinic to end round 10. And as McCallum goes to his corner, here's a look at Eddie Futch trying to make his way in, and there, Papa Smurf, as Riddick Bowe calls him, finally arrives and moves in to talk to Mike.
Yeah, it's very close, Mike. You've got to get the next round.
You gotta go get it now. You gotta go have it, Mike.
What round is it? You gotta have this one and the next one. Remember.
And don't wait for him. You be first. You be first. All right?
You heard Eddie Futch tell McCallum he has to get the next 2 rounds. He knows it's a close fight. He probably thinks McCallum is behind by a point or 2.
Give me a clean round, guys.
You saw the punch stat numbers, which weigh heavily in favor of Mike McCallum.
Get him out. Get him out, please. Come on.
Tony is trying to set himself like he won a knockout.
Come on, guys. Give me a clean round. Keep him up, Tony. Get him out, guys.
McCallum initiating the action with his jab over and over. You've heard Tony's trainer Bill Miller telling him to be first, but he has not been first as often as has Mike McCallum.
Watch that, guys. Watch your heads. Come on. Give me a clean round, both of you guys. Come on. Watch the push. Mike. Come on. Mike, let's go. Work out of there. Give me a clean round. Come on, get him out.
Right hand landed by Toney.
You know, it's about time when your fighter starts making all that money that they have dietitians, people who can determine if you're close to dehydration, know how to measure you. The old days of just boxing trainers are gone. Tony is...
Another right hand for Toney, but you're right. He's dry as a bone, George.
Dry as a bone. And so what do? You get out there to the colleges, and some of these guys, they got a lot of degrees. We can use them in boxing.
And he's got a mother with a couple of degrees. And she makes cookies and pies.
My kind of degrees.
I guess she's a nutritionist of sorts, huh?
I like those guys.
Come on.
That's your kind of nutrition. She can do it, too. We ate some of those pies and cakes while you were fighting Alex Stewart. Who had the easier job that day, huh?
That's the fight I wanted to be down here with you guys.
Watch there.
It is precisely because of fights like this that boxing judges should and do work for years learning how to score fights before they're given the privilege of judging big-time championship fights. You must have some understanding of the nuance, the subtle details of the sport to be able to form an opinion as to who is winning this one.
It's a real hard fight to score because there hasn't been any knockdowns, anything.
Last round coming up, Mike. So you gotta have this one. You gotta have this.
Okay, Mike, this is the last round. Give me clean round.
Number 3.
All right. Go out there and give me three.
The last round.
All right.
Let's go. Give me clean round.
All right. Give me a good 3 minutes. You the boss. Show him you're the boss.
Go underneath. And when he goes down, look, Mike, get down with him and punch out. Okay? All right. Come on, Mike.
Give it to me. You're the champ, right? All right. Let's go. Get busy for mama.
Harold, your score going into the last round.
Larry, 7 rounds to 4. 106, 102. James Toney. He's making it happen. McCallum just has no power left in his shots. Tony's winning the fight.
A fascinating conclusion. McCallum, by punch count numbers, has landed nearly 100 more punches than James Toney. Harold Letterman believes Toney is clearly winning the fight. 2 careers at stake now as round 12 begins. In the gold trunks, you have an undefeated young champion hoping to move on towards superstar status in the sport. In the red trunks, one of the great cult figures in the sport over the past 12 years, a champion who never got the right to fight against the leading lights of his day, Leonard, Hearns, Hagler, Duran. He must satisfy himself with trying to take money out of the mouth of a man like James Toney, and he may well be doing it as round 12 continues.
I totally am in agreement.
I think if he pulls this off, Mike McCallum will call it the biggest win of his career, even bigger than the wins over Curry and Julian Jackson.
What worries me is that 1 point taken away from McCallum could be the difference in a fight like this, and that would be tragic.
That would be an injustice. So it would appear to us.
The thing about it, the judges are fans just like you and me. A lot of times they're not looking at all the technical stuff, the spinning and the little shots that don't mean nothing that we see. They're only looking for the head move, the sweat to fly. And in that area, Toney has done it.
That's right, because Toney with the harder punches has made the sweat fly more than has McCallum. Well, in the 12th round in December, James Toney came out with a brilliant effort, easily won the round on all 3 scorecards and earned the draw. McCallum has so far prevented Toney from making that kind of statement here. McCallum sticking the jab, initiating the action. Toney looking to land hard shots.
Let's go.
Less than a minute to go.
It seems that our guy, the judge was giving good advice in the meeting yesterday.
Yes, Harold Letterman gave good advice to James Toney when he told him he should fight all 3 minutes of every round.
Not only was it good for...
This is a point in the fight when the 24-year-old ought to be more active than the 35-year-old, but I don't see it happening.
Oh, no. 35 is young, you know.
Less than 30 seconds to go. You saw Toney throw the hard right hand, hoping to bring rain, but it didn't happen. And McCallum goes back to the body, trying to flurry one last time for the judges. Who'll make the last statement? Who will put the punctuation at the end of the 12-round paragraph? Cortez will. He calls timeout again.
Yeah, the gloves are starting to hang again, and like I said, it's very dangerous.
Well, it's been a 3-man battle all the way. And McCallum adopts the body language of the winner, while Toney simply stalks around the ring.
one of those days you just don't know where you are.
Unless it's another draw, you're going to have at least one tremendously disappointed fighter in there, Larry.
You know, the great Red Smith used to say the way to judge a fight is to get a 10-year-old kid to come in here, look at the fight, and at the end of the fight, point to the guy and say, he won. And I think even a 10-year-old kid would have a hard time tonight.
Well, let's look at Harold's final scorecard and see how he sized it up.
Well, Jim, I got it fairly close. 7 rounds to 5, 115 to 112 favored James Toney. I just think that the punches that really counted were landed by James Toney. I think that he shrugged off Mike McCallum's shots real well. He walked away unscathed, don't have a mark on him, and at the end of the fight, Mike McCallum had very little zets left in his shots. I mean, Mike McCallum just wasn't, you know, landing a real big hard shots. He was landing a lot of punches, but with not enough behind him. I think James Toney landed enough power shots to win this fight.
How about you, George?
I'm a 10-year-older. I don't know what's happening.
Don't care to pick one or the other, huh?
No, not at all, because you can give it to McCallum because he was more enthusiastic, but Toney, of course, landed better hard punches.
All right. Well, we are in total suspense as we go up to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, we go to the scorecards. Phil Newman scores the bout 114. 114, he has it even. Tom McDonough scores the bout 118 to 110. Doug Tucker has it 117 to 110 for the winner by majority decision, and still IBF Middleweight Champion of the World, James Lights Out Toney.
So the Nevada judges agree with Harold Letterman,
Ladies and gentlemen,
and give the fight to the man who threw the harder shots. But the margin of victory on those two judges' scorecards, 118-110, 117-111, even with the point deducted from McCallum because of low blows and the holding and hitting incident in a later round, that seems like an awfully wide margin in this fight. Total punches from the punch stat numbers, James Toney landing, by our count, 110 fewer blows in the bout than his opponent Mike McCallum, throwing 135 fewer blows in the bout. Nevertheless, it is Toney, the champion, who gets the decision, and it is McCallum who winds up with a bitter defeat, only the second of his career. And you look again at the numbers, the judge from New Jersey scoring it 114 apiece. The judge from Nevada 117 to 110, and the fellow from Tacoma, Washington 118 to 110.